Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 dev, actually the co-founder and like head honcho at Warhorse, Daniel Vavra, says that Witcher 4 development is slow and blasts open world games on UE5. In an interview from 11 months ago, the co-founder of Warhorse Studios, Daniel Vavra, was asked why he chose CryEngine to power Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 versus something like Unreal Engine. And he said, quote, "At that time, nothing else could handle it like this. And to be fair, Unreal couldn't run it even today." He continued, "I talked with guys who are making The Witcher or from studios that are just trying to make some open world games on Unreal because there aren't really any open world games on Unreal. AC, everything like that is on their own engine." He continues, "CD Projekt Red just switched to Unreal, even though, in my opinion, they had a good proprietary engine. I talked to someone whose name I obviously can't say, and I said to him, so how about Unreal? Great, we already have pieces done, like some landscapes," he said. And I said, "Well, what about the open world?" And the dev replied, "Not yet." When did they announce it? A year or two ago, and it still doesn't work. Now, again, 11 months ago, when Daniel gave this interview, is when it happened, 11 months ago. But what he presents is a bigger problem in the industry, one that more and more gamers have been continually bringing up, and that's the Unreal Engine problem with everybody doing it. Game series like The Witcher aren't the only ones moving to Unreal. Halo recently announced its shift to Unreal Engine 5 after spending millions on its proprietary Slipspace engine. Why does that create a problem? Because while Unreal Engine has been a fantastic tool that has allowed greater ease of use compared to other engines on the market, it also acts as a trap for some who don't know how to use the technology properly. Looking at games that perform poorly, especially at launch, like Lords of the Fallen, Remnant 2, Stalker 2, and others, it's clear there's a pattern beginning to form when it comes to games powered by Unreal Engine 5, especially when those titles are open world in nature. Yeah, I mean, I do think that this is sort of the elephant in the room with moving to Unreal for The Witcher, because Unreal has historically really struggled with large environments that require multiple zones to be streamed in at one time. It's just something that the engine's always struggled with, and it's been a concern for The Witcher 4, certainly, among other games. Daniel later mentioned that Unreal Engine simply wasn't made for open world games, nor terrain generation. Quote, "If you wanted to make a game on Unreal from some rocks, that's great, but it couldn't do trees for a long time. Their nanite tech couldn't generate vegetation until now. Now it can. Looking at you, Satisfactory." He goes on to detail the amazing videos of trees and the lifelike nature of vegetation that's produced in Unreal Engine 5, but hammers it for performance. Quote, "Until you look at some demo and realize that while it looks absolutely divine, photos, just like a movie, then you need a computer that costs 200,000 or 200 grand, which is roughly 8,000 euro or $8,000, and a maximum of 4 people can walk there because otherwise even the damn computer that costs 200 grand will not be able to run it." Looking back at this interview post-release of KCD 2, it's hard to argue against the performance perspective, which, I mean, it's true. The game runs very, very well and looks very, very good to boot. And I think that this is one of those concerns, because Witcher 4 looks tremendous. What we've seen looks phenomenal. But it's one thing to look great in a cutscene. It's another thing entirely to be able to perform well as far as gameplay is concerned. But this is one of those things where part of the move to Unreal seems to have been a strategic shift for Epic as well, because Epic, I mean, they're not happy that everybody hears Unreal Engine game open world and rolls their eyes. They don't want that to be the case. They want you to hear Unreal Engine open world game and go, "Oh my God, awesome." Because they want other studios to use their engine to give them more money. Like, they want everybody to be stoked on it. So one of the goals for Epic over the last few years has been to improve their engine and get to the point where it is good enough to be able to manage open world simulation, open world generation, things like that. This demo where they showed all this stuff, they showcased the open world environments with the different substrates. This thing where they showed dynamically changing environments and building environments using these, what do they call them? Blueprints? Not blueprints. They call them, what do they call them?
Procedural assembly to the world.
Assemblies.
And the cool thing is that it communicates. Thank you. Yeah. Pretty cool.
So wait, watch how he can edit it in real time.
And the cool thing is that it communicates with other nearby procedural elements in the scene, like the creek bed. So let's say a designer comes by, wants to direct the player to drive to the left. Jacob can simply move the assembly to the right, and everything updates to accommodate that change.
I love the wow in the audience. So these are tools that did not exist when they decided to use CryEngine for KCD2, to be very clear. But this is kind of exactly what he's been saying, is that these tools are just now arriving at Unreal Engine, and they're very powerful and they're very cool. But even today, we haven't really seen this type of technology executed and used. We just haven't. Like, we've seen demos and stuff. We've seen some games that say they're going to start using tools like this, but we've never seen something on this scale and with this level of fidelity. And so it's still a big question mark whether this can like really work well. Unreal Engine AI tools. Are you asking if this counts as AI? I mean, it's procedural. I don't think this counts as like, this isn't using an LLM. This isn't using generative AI. It's just using procedural rules and stuff. As you can see, they have seed counts and seed numbers listed here. So this is the same procedural tech that's been in games for decades. It's just overhauled and kind of streamlined, but you can see how they can go in and generate these massive maps very quickly and fairly easily. This is he describes it here. I'll let him.
If we hide all of the procedural elements, we can see that original hand-built area about 200 meters by 200 meters. We believe that there will always be the need for hand-building environments, so we design these procedural systems to be tools for artists that work in concert with hand-built content. Both Substrate and the new procedural tools will be available in experimental form in 5.2.
So he's right that these tools for massive open world game development just weren't there until relatively recently. And even now they're adding a bunch of stuff and they're improving it in real time. It keeps getting better and better.
Unreal's newest up.
That absolutely is true, but it takes time. It takes time. And even then the tools might have big drawbacks. What he brought up specifically in that article from Windows Central was that performance is a big hurdle where you need a freaking $8,000 PC to get the thing to even run. And then even then you have a few more NPCs walking around in the environment and the game turns to crap and can't run at all, which is why then it requires you to render at stupid low resolutions, run everything with DLSS and frame generation just to get it functioning, because it really is not optimized and it hasn't been refined to the point where it can manage those big environments and stuff. So to say that this, as somebody mentioned in chat, I think Milan mentioned this initially, to say that like Witcher 4 is in development hell, I don't think that's what this is saying. I think that would be a sensationalization of what is actually being said here. All he's saying is that after a year or two of development, they still haven't gotten to the stage of having an open world in The Witcher 3 or Witcher 4 as of 11 months ago, as of a year ago. Like early January of 2025, February 2020 or 2024 rather. They didn't have an open world yet. The game was also really early on, so maybe that's perfectly expected. Maybe that's very normal and shouldn't be shocking. So I don't find this to be that like jaw-dropping. It tells me they're building a lot of tools, they're having to build a lot of stuff, but I don't think that this means it's in development hell or anything like that. I'd be hesitant to listen to anybody who reads this article and concludes that it's in development hell, because that to me suggests that they are trying to like it sounds like something somebody would say if they're the type to be like, oh, the game's gonna flop because it has Siri as the protagonist, you know, one of those types. Because you read this article, you read the actual message, and nothing in this sounds like they're in development hell. I mean, I don't know how you would conclude that from this article. But, I mean, as for this, yeah, he says, we got pieces done, like some landscapes. So they built out some landscapes, but they don't have the full open world. Not yet. Like, I don't see how that means development hell. Especially when we're talking about very early on in development, you know? You can find a video of him saying it's in development hell. I was like, I Googled Witcher 4 development hell, and it's on the subreddit r/. I'll I don't want YouTube to get mad at me, but I don't know what subreddit I expected to find the article on, but that's funny. Yeah, even this article that so this one is quoting the same bit. Kingdom Come game just launched, impressive reviews. Discuss CDPR believes switching was a mistake. Yeah, this is taking the same quotation. Talked to someone from CDPR and said to him, so what about Unreal? What about the open world? And he said, not yet. So does he at any point say development hell? Or are people just adding that in? Yeah, it's nowhere in the transcript. So I think people are just adding that in. If you read that Witcher 4 article, it's complete horseradish. I mean, this is the thing where I'm like trying to find the point where he says that it's in development hell, and he never says it's in development hell. The articles that are concluding that are like, I think both taking, they're not even taking him out of context, because they're just adding something he didn't say. States Unreal Engine 5 is a poor choice for open world games. I mean, he said for them especially, it wasn't a good choice at the time they had to make the choice coming off of the first game, because all the tools that exist now did not exist then, which absolutely is true. He highlights a familiar source, shared information, which before revealing CDPR has made little progress on the RPG's open world as of 11 months ago, before it was in development. So no. And then this is also why the director skipped Unreal Engine for KCD2 and went with CryEngine. Yeah, because he thought there was a better option. So even the highlights don't mention development hell. Like this is pure sensationalism that I think is probably I don't know. It's like not even really, I guess it is clickbait, because it's just not real. It's just not, you're just adding something he didn't say. It's like that Inside Gaming article that we looked at, or Insider Gaming, sorry, of that video of Marc-Alexis Cote. They basically, Marc-Alexis Cote, who runs like the whole Assassin's Creed franchise, he did an interview at like a panel, and they just totally like took a quote he didn't say and misconstrued it into this massive thing.
Jones donated $9.99.
Thank you, Dr. Jones.
Super chat. Hey, I am currently on deployment, and watching your videos have made my time better.
Oh,
I can't wait to come home and experience KCD2 like you have.
oh yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you, my friend. Stay safe, firstly. And yeah, when you get back, there's a lot to sink your teeth into. I'll tell you what. There's a lot. There's a lot to tackle. So just you wait. Just you wait, my friend. Yeah, so the article was like, half of AC Shadows devs never built a game before. And then they said, like, the other subtitle, yeah, it claimed the company considers Shadows the weakest entry in the series. So that was previously, I think, either the subtitle of the article, or it was like part of the title. And they're like, yeah, so even the devs of AC Shadows consider AC Shadows to be the weakest entry in the series. And they use a segment from an interview he gave publicly at XDS in front of many people that was being streamed online. And they made it out like the guy that runs all of Assassin's Creed was saying that AC Shadows was the worst one they'd ever made. If you think about that for 10 seconds, you'd be like, why the hell would he say that about his own game? He wouldn't, because he didn't say that. It was just like a totally made up snippet. So I kind of got upset with them. It was just embarrassing. Like the part that they say, according to Marc-Alexis Cote, this is taken from the original article. The game's internal evaluation isn't promising either. The team behind Shadows considers this entry to be the weakest in the entire Assassin's Creed franchise. But he doesn't say that ever in the clip. Like, it doesn't make sense. You watch the whole interview, the 45-minute panel thing. He never says that. So I called him out, and then they issued a correction. They never, Tom never directly responded to me though. But I did hear that people at Ubisoft actually saw that and were like, thank you for calling him out for that, because if we did, people call us like shills or whatever, but thank you for calling him out for that. But you still saw 1.2K likes. People were retweeting this. People made YouTube videos about it, running with it. Even Ubisoft hates their own game, when it was all just a lie. Like, it just wasn't true. Either it was sloppy or it was just made up, you know? And so you got to be careful when you see a headline, just reading the headline, because sometimes a headline will make you think one thing, but then you actually read the article or the interview and it says nothing of the sort, and it's just pure clickbait, because Because you look at this article, you'd be like, oh God, that's crazy. And then you look at the actual source and he never says anything like that. He says, yeah, before the game was in full development, they didn't have an open world. And I think that the Unreal Engine, when we were selecting engines, wasn't the right engine for us. Like, it doesn't mean that it's in dev hell, you know? No, Milan, you're good. That's why, like, by the way, I saw some people jokingly being like, ban the chatter. I'm not going to ban you, Milan. Like, if it's an honest mistake, it's an honest mistake. This is not your fault for reading the article and taking what the journalist said to be accurately reported. Like, this is on outlets like this that put stuff like this out to try and rage bait people into clicking on it. You know, this is a games industry journalist, whatever problem. This isn't necessarily an audience problem. Sorry, mate, watched it all over again. It's not really there. My mistake. Probably got it connected with discussion under it. By the way, I hope for Witcher 4 success. Oh no, yeah, you're fine, Milan. If I saw that article and I was going off of it, I'd be like, what the hell? You know, it's just something you gotta be very cautious with, unfortunately, nowadays, because there's a lot of people that will just see something that confirms their priors and what they already believe, and then they will just run with it, and it gets them into trouble because some people get clowned on and look real stupid real quick. He took my thing. Red flag.